Hi everyone, Megan Elzner from Elzner Farms here. Today we're going to go over how to transfer your nuc into your hive box. I typically tell people after they pick up their bees and take them to their house to just set their nuc box on top of their equipment when they get home. Bees don't like riding in the car. They can be a little grumpy after that. So it's best if you can have your hive equipment in place and set up the day before you're going to come and get your bees. That way when you pick up your bees and get to your property, you can just take your nuc box, set it right on top. It's nice if you can get your smoker going and give them a little smoke and pop the entrance open. Our entrance is open because our bees are sitting here ready to be transferred. And give them about 30 minutes to an hour to calm down if you can. This just helps them settle down a bit after the drive, but you have the front open so that they can come out if it's really hot. And the reason I like to set it on top of or directly next to your equipment whenever you've got it set up and in place is so that when they come out the entrance and they start orienting right in front of the nuc, that orientation is correct to where their hive is going to be. So once you've let them calm down for an hour, you can get ready to put them in their box. When you come out to put them into the box, be sure you've made your sugar water and have it ready to go as well. You want to have your smoker lit and going. We have both of those videos available on our YouTube channel, how to light a smoker and how to make sugar water. So if you've forgotten, you can head on over to our channel and take a look. So go ahead and you can just set your nuc box on the ground right next to your hive and give both sides, there's a vent on the front and on the back, so give both sides a good puff of smoke just to let the bees know that it's time. And these Pro Nucs boxes are great. They're very similar to a Tupperware container, so the lid just pops off. So you'll just want to open it on up and just give a little smoke right on top of the frames so that the girls kind of go down and don't start just shooting out while you're doing it. You can see they're exploring where their new house is going to be already. So you can lean your lid right on the side. In my box, I have 8 frame boxes, and it's a 5 frame nuc. So I have a feeder, a 1 gallon feeder takes up the place of 1 frame. So I have a feeder and 2 empty frames, 2 undrawn frames with foundation in them. And I'm just going to take those 2 frames out and set them to the side to give us ample space to move these frames into the box. Whenever you begin removing the frames, it's not a rush, so be sure to take your time whenever you separate and pull up the frames. You don't want to roll the bees. It can cause a lot of them to die. They kind of tumble on top of each other if you do that. So you just want to take your hive tool and separate out that first frame. You always want to start from the outside and work your way in. Whenever you go to transfer them over, you just put them in the same exact order that they came out of the box. So we'll pull this frame out. It's on the outside, so typically it's going to have resources, which would be honey and pollen. I look on here to see what's all on here. It's a good way to just check your nuc out before you transfer it over. Honey and pollen on that side. This side looks like it has some eggs and honey and pollen as well. Looks great. So we'll put that one in towards the outside of the box, just like it was in the nuc box, and we'll move on to the second frame. This frame is typically brood. Your 5 frame nuc boxes typically have 2 to 3 frames of brood, a frame of food, and a frame to grow on. That frame to grow on could just be a mixture of brood, food, or just drawn comb, kind of whatever that particular nuc has drawn out for that 5th frame. This is some beautiful capped brood. And it looks like they're beginning to emerge on this side actually, so that's really fun. So we'll just go ahead and slide that down on in here, again slow, and then just push it on over to meet the frame that's in the box. This next frame appears to also be capped brood. A little bit of egg she's starting to lay kind of in the center where the bees have emerged, but again, frame of brood. I'm just looking it over to see what's on here. I'm also glancing to see if the queen is on any of these frames because it's always fun to be able to see your queen when you're transferring her over. And go on to the next frame. And this has they're beginning to cap some of it. It's a mix of capped and open, a lot of open brood because the queen's been laying on this frame. Oh, and she's actually on this frame too. I see her right at the bottom. Let's see, this looks like it's got a lot of pollen on it, maybe a smattering of eggs in here. Yeah, this side's pollen too, with eggs right at the very bottom. Now is the time to slide in your undrawn foundation. You want the frames of the nuc to all be together. Since that's what they've already built, you want to keep that together. So you'll slide the first drawn frame or undrawn frame on the outside of the box, and then shift the frames so that you can slide the next one in. And I put this one right next to the feeder. That way, as they get feed from the feeder, they can come right over and draw that frame out for you. The next thing you'll want to do is take any bees that you've got from your lid or the sides of the box. There's a lot hanging out on the side of the box in this nuc. It does that. It's a little cool today here in East Texas, so they'll do that a lot of times when it's a little colder. So you can just hold your lid right over the frames and just give a one soft shake, and most of them will fall off the frame or off of the lid into the frames. Those that don't, you can just lean it near the entrance of your hive and they'll make their way into the entrance as the other bees tell them, hey, here's the entrance. Same goes for the nuc box. These little support bars are removable, so I would suggest taking them out because they might fall out and smush some bees, so it's best to just take them out. And then you can take your nuc box, same situation, flip it upside down, give it a good shake, and most of the bees fall right out and go climbing right down into the frames. I'll do the same thing with the nuc box. I'll just set it nearby the hive so the bees can make their way into the entrance once they get all settled. Now that you have all of your frames in place and all the bees are headed down into the frames, you can give them their feed. So you just want to fill up the feeder with sugar water. I usually pour slow in case there's bees in the feeder. They can run on up and not get stuck in the sugar water. We usually put little strips of wood in our sugar water so that they can walk on top of that like a floaty raft as well. So my feeder's full. I've got all the frames in here. I can go ahead and put the lid on. I'm going to take any bees that are like this. I could just push them right off there so they don't get too mushed. Put your lid on slowly, and I typically kind of softly go like this so you don't mush any and they can get on out of the way. And now your bees are all buttoned up and good to go. It's ideal if you can let them go for about a week. Just put them in there, let them get settled in their new hive, and then go back the following week with another gallon of sugar water and probably a second box. Typically they'll draw out those frames in there and need a little bit more space within a week or two. So you want to be prepared for that. Whenever you come that week after you've put your bees in the box, just after you open your lid and do a check if they've drawn out these frames, you'll want to take out the feeder and insert an undrawn frame in there and put that feeder in the top box. That way you're not always having to take the second box off in order to feed them. And then just continue to feed them until they've drawn out all the comb on that second box. And you're good to go. Happy beekeeping!